before we get into the conversation ahead. And a quick disclaimer, I'm not an expert on the topic that would be covered today. I am just representing you viewers out there. Those are inquiring for the comprehensive solution to the pandemic, which has heavily impacted our physical and mental health. That being said, if you have any questions which you want to ask our experts today, please put it in the comments below, and I will try to let the experts address it during the later half of the session. So let me introduce our first guest. His name is Dr. Vinay Kumar Tatti, who holds a master's degree in general surgery, specialized in advanced laparoscopic surgery. He was an ex-assistant professor in the Department of General Surgery at Cooper Hospital, and currently he serves at numerous hospitals in Mumbai, which includes Wockhardt Hospital at Mumbai Central, Fortis Raheja Hospital at Mahim, Apollo Spectra at Tardeo, and many more. And on the other side, we have Narhari Das. He has a master's degree in orthopedic surgeon, and he served in few of the famous hospitals in Mumbai. And later he joined Brahmachari Ashram at Radha Gopinath Mandir, ISKCON, Mumbai, to be a monk and help the people with the spiritual awakening. For more than a decade, he has been sharing principles of yoga from the Vedic wisdom text and transforming hundreds of lives out there. And currently, he is the director of Giridhari Kunj ISKCON, a self-sustaining rural farm located in Metpally, Andhra Pradesh. It's a perfect place to practice yoga and spirituality, and as well as provides the benefits of natural living. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Narahari Das and Dr. Vinay Kumar. Thank you for joining today.
Thank you. Thank you.
So thank you, Mr. Devin, for including me in this panel so as to help the society in general to overcome the most difficult situation, the most critical period of this time. So I'm very grateful for offering this opportunity to address to the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Devin, thank you. Mr. Devin, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. This is a quite interesting topic for the current times. Of course, I am a surgeon, though this is a topic which generally deals with the infectious disease specialist, but still we are one of those who are currently involved in the management program right now. So I hope I should be able to serve the purpose of today's meeting. So let's hope it will do.
I'm looking forward for that.
Yeah.
So jumping right into the topic, in regards to the current health crisis with the COVID situation, I presume almost every individual out there is up to date through different mainstream medias, World Health Organization, CDC, on the history and also on the statistical information about the infection and the death rate, right, at the aggregator level. So without going into the history and the timeline of the events, since today's session is so timely, I wanted to ask Dr. Vinay Kumar, through your first-hand experience dealing with the COVID patients in multiple hospitals, what is the current situation out there? Where do we stand against this invisible demon?
Yeah, so exactly, as you have said it, that it is actually invisible. It is not even visible to the basic microscope. You require an electron microscope to see the structure. I'll just show you the structure of the virus for everyone's information. It almost looks like this. Just see that which is not visible, but see how complex it is from inside. Okay, so it is called coronavirus. You know, corona, as the scientists would call at the time of solar eclipse, you see that halo ring. So that is corona. That's what. And when they saw corona under microscope, it reminded them of the same thing, and that's why they labeled it as coronaviruses. Now, this was discovered way back in 1965, but it had its importance mostly among the animal. It was considered mostly as a zoonotic, you know, prevalent among the animals like dogs, cats, pigs, and all those animals. But it was only in 2002 and 3 when the first outbreak of coronavirus in the name of SARS, severe acute respiratory syndrome, which broke out from South China again, that even that time too. Okay, and that time it spread across 29 countries. Luckily, I would say that it was contained very well in that time. It didn't affect India much. In fact, it didn't affect much at all. There were only total 8,000 cases, and the last reported case was in 2005. And then following that, the second episode which happened because of this group of viruses was the MERS, the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome virus. That affected 21 countries, but and it had just very low spread. Luckily, it had very low spread, and there were only 860 deaths. So compared to this, coronavirus appeared a very, something which could be easily contained by the countries. But this one, which is hardly a size of, if I give you the exact detail of its size, which I can't even explain you, is it's 80 to 150 nanometer. So you cannot see with eye, with your microscope. You require electron microscope. Imagine. So this is a RNA virus. There are two types of viruses: RNA, DNA virus. This is an RNA virus. It is just like somebody who would come enter into your house. You will feed him. He will eat. He will grow. He will multiply, and then finally break open your house and the numbers will multiply. That is how this virus works in the cell. It goes into the cell and causes all these things. Primarily, it is causing problem in the lung. That is how we have been having the symptoms. The symptoms which are mostly, if I have seen, they are most of the times asymptomatic or mildly symptomatic. And talking specifically of India, we have a young population. Older population is much less in India. So we are seeing this asymptomatic variety and mild symptom variety. So if you ask me the symptom wise, it is, as usual, fever, dry cough, and myalgia, headaches, sore throat sort of thing. Some patients are having loss of taste, loss of smell. So these symptoms are such that, this is where the patients, and I would say even the doctors and the world over community were deceived, because it looks like any normal influenza like symptom, any cold or any flu like symptom. And that is where the problem started. When it spread across from China to Europe, US, it appears like, clinically what we have seen, especially in somebody like above 50 to 70, it appears like a cold, and then suddenly within 2-3 days the patient starts developing shortness of breath, which again is very difficult to pick up even for a doctor at a basic level. And by the time it becomes very bad, patient reaches hospital and it's becoming very bad. So patients are going on ventilator. Once they go on ventilator, it's extremely rare that he's coming out of ventilator. And deaths are actually happening on ground level, if you ask me. For the relatives, not for the doctors, but I would say for the relatives, it appears as if within 2 days the patient has deteriorated. Though it keeps on going on for around 5-6 days, but suddenly deteriorates and patient tends to lose his life. So that's the current situation. If you ask me, in India at least, with today's statistics, of course everybody knows it. It's almost like 1,25,000 patients, which is very less compared to 130 crore population of India. Okay, somebody may say, "No, you are inadequately testing it," but I would say even the death rate is very, very low if you compare. Or the worldwide death rate, if you ask me, it's almost case fatality rate, what we call, is almost like 6.5%, but India is around 3% right now. So it is half of what the world is facing. Countries like Italy, Spain, Britain, US, they have faced much more than this. Especially if you see Italy, it is almost 14.2%, which is very high. Maybe because they have elderly patients over there, much elderly population.
I had a quick follow-up on that. So since you're having a first-hand experience in seeing the COVID patients, which age group of people you're observing right now who are seriously ill and needs to be on ventilators? So which group of people do you see out there?
This is most of the time above 50, I would say.
Okay.
Roughly above 50. Of course, it is seen even in somewhere between 30. I have heard of deaths. See, exactly now data is not released like we would want to see. But if you ask me, it is still 50 plus patients who are going on to ventilator, who have not taken care straight away, and it has not been picked up early. So the crux, I feel, is to pick up early, understand that this may be corona, even if it looks like a flu symptom, it can be corona, and just be aggressive about it, watchful about it.
Okay. As you previously said that the majority of our Indian populations are youth and they are asymptomatic. Why do you think the reason behind being asymptomatic? Is it that they are, since they are youth and they have a very healthy immune system, because of which they are not positive and asymptomatic at the first place? What are your thoughts on that?
So, the world over, the entire medical fraternity is thinking on this.
Hmm.
Okay, why is it that the Indians are, the number of cases have been so low? The first
Hmm.
debate has been the number of testing have been less, looking at the population. Because if you ask me, if we do 1 lakh testing per day also, it will take,
Right.
I suppose it will take 3.5 years to complete 135 population screening. So the time for I hope so. It will be. Secondly, okay, if we are not doing inadequate, if we are inadequate at testing, then at least there should have been more number of deaths, which if you compare is still very less. Today, if you see the numbers, it is hardly more than 3,500, I think 3,500, roughly 3,600.
Hmm.
So in a population of 135 crore, 3,600 is very less.
Yeah.
Second is, of course, we are young population, and that is what has been seen worldwide, that young population is affected less. So maybe that is one more reason. Third, third thing which people were talking about is the temperature,
Hmm.
the climate we have. When this started across all the countries, the temperatures were over there were pretty cold, whereas in India it was not that much. But
Hmm.
still, that is also debatable. For this, for this, the kind of spices and everything we eat, that is one more
Hmm.
thing which people are
Hmm.
talking about. So there are many theories, and one more very important thing which people are talking about is we take BCG vaccine, the
Hmm.
tuberculosis vaccine, which we take at the time of birth. I know the child is born
Ah.
immediately as an infant. So that there is a huge debate on that in medical fraternity, that it is because India has a very strong BCG vaccination program. So maybe the Indian population has that immunity because of that vaccine, which is helping them to fight against this coronavirus.
That's interesting to know.
Hmm.
So, since the beginning of the pandemic, I'm slithering through all these different materials and following newses and different research studies. And what
Hmm.
I'm seeing is every nation, each research institute, and pharmaceutical companies are focused on the cure part and the vaccine part
Yeah, yeah,
of the of the disease.
yeah.
But literally, no one in the higher authorities is advocating or talking about building a better immune system. I believe
Yes.
one of the reason for some of the test being positive of COVID patients would be having a compromised immune system, right? So, and most of the people are unaware of how to live a healthy lifestyle. So, as a doctor, what preventive measures would you advise the viewers out there for building a good physical health? Any recommendations do you have in terms of to do and not to do list, which you provide some light on?
Yeah. So first of all, as you said that the entire world is focusing right now, including the medical fraternity and the general population, is what treatment, which country is going to come up with some very concrete positive treatment. To let me begin, Yani, when this first started
Mhm.
in China, they started around with antiretroviral drugs which are available for HIV and for swine flu. They combined that. Then they used hydroxychloroquine, which is in big news, as you know, you are in US,
Right.
and the exchanges which Indian government had with Trump and everything. So, the HCQs are being widely used, at least on this side in Asia, considering its role in the beginning phase, early
Mhm.
phase, rather than, when actually you have developed moderate to severe symptoms. So more, it has been very commonly used world over, actually, though the medical fraternity is absolutely divided on this, that, the HCQs are beneficial or not. In fact, now, as I am seeing, daily. There are more and more papers coming that HCQ, hydroxychloroquine, is not useful, but the study models are absolutely flawed also in the studies which have come, the whatever criteria they have taken up. So HCQ is there, then there are higher drugs, especially in US, the Ebola virus which had broken out. So for that, there was one drug, remdesivir, which had come out, but remdesivir also was not useful for Ebola, but somehow they are finding that it is useful in this pandemic of coronavirus. So what happens? Just imagine, you take out some drug for something and it works out in something. Of course, it is still not available in India. It's still not available in India. In India, it's not available in India. In India, at least what I know in Mumbai, those who are serious, for them, people are trying other drugs, which of course is also available in US, but in US they have remdesivir. So over here we are using itolizumab and tocilizumab, which almost, I think, as far as I know, it costs around 60,000 rupees per dose, and I've heard that it is a minimum. But of course, this is used only on those who are on severe category or those who are on ventilators. But and vaccine part, let me tell you, every now and then you will hear some news about some vaccine coming up, but then it just fizzles out. It just fizzles out. And we had some two great news coming in between from UK and US. Recently, one the Moderna one, and it has just fizzled out. I think only the stocks go up, but and the expectation go up, but I don't think so. The vaccine is out anywhere near now. It's a long process now. I don't think so. So final, my word would be, there is no concrete treatment or vaccination in the hope right now, at least. And if you ask me prevention wise, so I would say, uh, best and most important thing is, any given point of time, at least in this physical world, is to keep that physical distance. Nothing works like physical distance. In fact, every time we talk, the simple things are the most difficult to follow. Just like that, physical distancing, social distancing, avoiding, groups, traveling, I would say, eating outside, and keeping the elders, not only elders above 65, but also those who have got some diseases in them, who are young, but they have got some diseases, like some lung disease like asthma, COPD. They have got some kidney failure disease. These are quite common in young age also. Some cardiac conditions also are common, lung problems, immunosuppression, HIV patients, cancer patients, all these. And one of the most important things, at least in India, which is also known as capital of this disease, that is diabetes. So diabetes also is one deadly thing. And one more thing which is very common in, at least I would say, towards the Western side, is obesity. Obesity is also a high risk factor. For, if they call it as BMI, if BMI is more than 40, so to just to give an idea, what is BMI more than 40 in Indians? If somebody is weighing, if somebody's height is 5 feet, and if he is 95 kg, so that means he's at high risk. If somebody is 5'10" and he is 125 kg, he's at high risk. So that BMI calculation is, of course, it is very easy. It is just about height and weight divided by height in centimeter square. So BMI more than 40. So obesity also is a risk factor for this pandemic. It's a risk factor that you can go get into trouble. So I would suggest diet wise, maintain a very healthy diet. People are not sleeping on time. Their diet is gone for a toss, and their sleep is gone for a toss with this current pandemic. Let me tell you, I don't know, the disease numbers are not so great in India, but I can tell you the sleep and diet patterns have gone totally awry for the Indian population. In fact, we are having a strict lockdown, as you know, compared to the other countries worldwide. If you see, there is no exercise, and when there is no exercise, that also is a big factor for immunity. So, and also when your sleep is not good, that also is a very important factor for immunity. And diet-wise also, if your if your diet is not right in this matter, I would like to just say, I would still say, this is my personal opinion, that you should eat, uh, what we Indians have followed the Ayurvedic method, is that have a very good breakfast in morning, have a lunch, proper lunch in afternoon time, and best is to finish off your evening meal by around 8 o'clock or something like that, and have a vegetarian diet. Now this is a pretty, I know this can be very controversial, many may not like it, because but I would still say, because the way we cook non-vegetarian food over here is pretty oily. It contains a lot of fat, it contains a lot of spices. In fact, if you ask me, people's eating habit has gone so bad that as a surgeon I am seeing so many patients coming with a bad tummy just because of their bad eating habits right now. Even today morning I have received a call for the same thing. So diet wise, sleep, and then I would say bigger thing is avoid late night social media platforms. That causes lack of sleep, anxiety, builds up anxiety. How long are you going to keep watching those numbers? Finally we have to focus on our own self. I think that's the time to this is a time where we should focus. Initially it was too much about the entire world, but I think now the way the disease is progressing, we realize that it's not much in our hands. And I think best is avoid getting too much into social platforms. And diet wise, of course, I am a very strong proponent of vegetarian diet, because these vegetarian diets contain natural antioxidants. They have that potency to kill free radicals. They have got flavonoids, carotenoids, minerals, vitamins, and of course good high fiber. So diet also, I feel, though nobody is talking about it, because everybody is focused on vaccine and treatments and medications and hospital admission, but I think those who are at home should focus on this. Try follow some Ayurvedic principles which are also easily accessible on the net, and one can go through it. But if you ask me, this is something you can do to improve your immunity: sleep, diet, avoiding negative thoughts through social platforms, and discussing the same thing again and again, which has got no much use for general population.
Cool. I think those are very valuable information. You clearly mentioned a list of risk factors and list of to do things and not to do things here. And you also emphasizing more on the vegetarian diet and its health benefits. But for the
Yeah.
sake of argument, let's say a person who is a non-vegetarian, he eats meat because of the health perspective. They assume, maybe they assume that meat provides a lot of vitamins, other different vitamins, which is not in vegetables, like vitamin B12. Do you have any a recommendation in terms of supplementations? Like I'm hearing
Yeah.
about
So,
vitamin C,
yeah,
zinc, and other different things to build the immune
yes.
system. Any recommendation would you provide to our
Yeah, see,
subscribers here?
yeah, many doctors across worldwide, for example, there was a recommendation that vitamin D intake should be good during this crisis.
Okay.
Over here, we are giving vitamin D, vitamin C, multivitamins, of course, to build up. Because let me tell you, because I see these obese patients, and it is very common. I have seen in my practice, even before this pandemic started, everything is that whenever we would do, those who look very healthy, people have a concept in India, at least, that the one who is very healthy, or who's on a heavier side, who's obese, yani, they think that he's having a very great diet, he's rich in his diet. But let me tell you, their vitamin levels, when we have worked up, even during normal course, not during this pandemic, we have found that they are vitamin D deficient, vitamin B12 deficient. So even though they are looking obese and everything, and of course the cause of obesity is not any other problem, any other medical disease, but it is just because of lack of exercise and overeating. And they overeat, but still the conflict is that their vitamin levels are so poor that it is absolutely surprising to see their results. And that's why I think supplementation with some multivitamins, and I would say, rather than multivitamins, have good food. Why behave like a, I feel multivitamins and taking everything is like a poor man's habit. You're substituting your good food with multivitamins. Rather than that, have a good food. You will have take good milk, curd, everything. I think that covers all. you know uh, So
Okay. That's interesting to know that the vegetarian food provides the whole vitamins and nutrients required for a human body. So I quickly want to pivot a bit towards the other side and get Narahari Das's opinion on the health aspect. So Narahari Das, I think there may have been more than hundreds of diseases outbreak in the past thousands of years, and which a human mankind might have experienced, and this isn't the first time, right? So since you're a learned scholar of the Vedic text, which has been here since past at least 5,000 years, so based on your Vedic learning, is there something which scriptures recommends us for dealing with such situation from the physical health perspective?
Basically, basically, if you analyze all our scriptures, one of the essential factor for being successful on the path of spirituality is a good health. Because if you don't have good health, you cannot progress ahead. Because ultimately, if a car is not good, a passenger cannot reach its destination.
Mhm.
So therefore, it is not just taking care of the passenger, but also taking into consideration the condition of the car, right? So therefore, even though generally people feel spirituality just deals with something beyond the body or something out of the body, but that is not the case. It gives equal emphasis to taking care of the body also. Just like if we want to reach a destination, we cannot just focus on the driver. We cannot just provide meals, nutrition, and everything to a driver and just keep the car starving. We have to take into consideration the driver is fed and the car is also taken care properly in terms of fueling it, in terms of making it, taking care of the air and everything. So actually we need to have balance. So therefore, the scripture says that if one wants to achieve perfection or be healthy, it is not just on the spiritual level, but it's also at physical level. So the easy thing, one important thing is the aspect of balancing is very much emphasized in the scriptures. As it is said, Yukta Hara Viharasya, Yukta Chetasa Karmasau, Yukta Sapnava Bodhasya. Yukta means a balanced. So there has to be Yukta Ahar, a balanced diet, balanced Vihar, moving around, and says Yukta Hara Viharasya, Yukta Chetasa Karmasau. And Yukta Sapnava, there should be proper sleep. So therefore, when you speak of health from Vedic perspective, it does not just deal with the physical health, but it also deals with the mental health. Because as a doctor also, before coming into this path, being a doctor also, we have seen that there are so many diseases which are coming out as a result of, mental imbalance. Patients are physically fit. They don't have any physical problem. But because the mind is not fit, over a period of time, it is called psychosomatic disorders. Because the mind is not fit, that mind gives rise to so many physical ailments. So therefore, that balance has to be there. So therefore, in essence, you need to have proper diet, you need to have proper sleep, you need to have proper recreation, right? So therefore, it focuses on balancing physical needs and balancing mental needs. So you have to take into consideration both of them. So therefore, now people throughout the world, they are just speaking on what to do at the physical level. We may be successful, no doubt. For a period of time, it may take some time, we'll successful. But now what we are seeing, the second aspect of this corona disease, this pandemic, is now manifesting out. And what is that? People from physical platform, now they are becoming, from being physically diseased, now they are coming to a platform of being mentally diseased. Now, treat physically, it may be easy, but over a period of time it has been seen to treat mental patients is practically difficult. Even though in our advanced medical science, at the most, what do we do with patients, those who are mentally ill? The common treatment is just make them sleep. Just like if your cell phone hangs on, what do? Switch it off. But that is not the solution. So therefore, from Vedic perspective, what I personally feel is, along with physical treatment, if we can also simultaneously take care of treating the mind or making the people mentally fit, then I think we'll be successful in treating this pandemic. And that is what is all the subject about. The holistic approach, what we are speaking of treating this pandemic. It means, holistic approach means it takes into consideration 5 factors. Treating not just at physical level, treating at emotional level, at social level, at spiritual level, and at mental level. Then only, if all these 5 aspects are taken into consideration, then only I feel, or that is what the Vedic perspective is, then we can achieve a perfect health. Now, throughout the world, we are just focusing on the one aspect. Remaining 4 are still remaining. The social part, the emotional part, and the mental part and spiritual part. But the beauty of that is, if you can just take the spiritual part, you can just focus on that, the mental part is taken care. And when the mental part is taken care, emotional part is taken care. And when emotionally person is fit, then he becomes socially fit. So therefore, in essence, what I feel is, along with body, we also need to take care of the mind, which may be very, very difficult over a period of time to handle it. And we don't have any treatment for that. A diseased mind can cause much more havoc than the physical illness in a person's life, and not just at individual level, at the social level and at the world level. This is my opinion.
Yeah, Mr. Narendra, I would like to add to this. There's a very important point, taking the approach towards this disease holistically.
Yeah.
And it's not only about this physical aspect, but as you said, now as the disease is progressing over a period of time, and we are not seeing any end, actually people are going down with frustration that when will this disease, any time, when I'm going out and talking as a doctor with patients, that's the first question, doctor, when do you expect this to come down? So everyone is just waiting, and that is bringing a lot of frustration, no doubt. In initial phase, if you ask me what I have seen through, I have divided this, this is my personal division. And even when the disease started and this lockdown also started, it was like a euphoria stage for people, because lockdown is something novel, just like the novel coronavirus. This was also novel. And, everybody was enjoying at home, cooking dishes, putting up memes on social, memes on social media and all those things. But after that, when they saw that disease is just continuing at one slow pace, then the first thing that it started hitting them was the cash crunch. Whatever reserve they had, that started going down. And that was the first stage, I feel. And then it came into second stage, that, you are not having any economic activity, where you earn. That is not there. The disease is not going. Treatment, everybody is confused. How to pick up this disease, everybody is confused, including the government and the medical fraternity. And then came the third stage, when this is just rising now, and people are absolutely mad now. They're absolutely mad. It is just that, they are not coming out with it. But if you sit and talk to somebody, you will realize, especially those who are at home, like, housewives, or, mothers and fathers, those who are at home, retired, they are absolutely in a big panic from inside.
Like I heard one case study where saying that after these lockdowns, I don't know how much that is true, you can just find out. If they say that after this lockdown, the number of divorce rates are going to increase.
Oh, yeah.
Why? Yeah. Because of so much interaction to it, because neither the housewife nor the man at home, they're accustomed to spending their time with the family at such a level. As they say, too much familiarity breeds contempt, something like that.
Yes.
One of the biggest thing that is affecting the mind is, for a man especially, for the male factor of the house or any earning member, is, as you rightly said, no income. That feeling of insecurity is there. And second, the most important thing is the fear. Now everyone, even now, people seeing their family members as a threat to their own life. They are feeling that if he goes out, I may catch, I may get affected by that, and I may die. They has gone to such an extent that people, they're completely confused. And on top of that, that lifestyle at home, their personal lifestyle, especially social media. We are speaking of social distancing. That's good. But in the process of social distancing, we have so much buried ourselves to the screen. And especially, we have completely changed our cycles. People are speaking, like other day I called my brother and I want to talk to my nephew, right? So I said, what is he doing? I said, he's sleeping. And this was in the evening, 7 o'clock. I said, what time will get up? At 10 o'clock. I said, why? Because whole night he has to watch movies. Till morning, 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, he'll watch movies and then he'll sleep. And again, he'll watch movie. So it's completely affecting not just the physique, but also affecting the mind. So that is where actually some steps have to be taken to see to it that along with the physical treatment, or actually I would like to say more than physical treatment, because even after if we are successful in finding some remedy for this corona, I doubt how much we'll be in a position to treat the mental disease, which is much more dangerous than corona. This COVID.
Yeah, yes, yes.
This is what I feel. There are
Yeah.
many case studies, many information, because we also deal with people, so many things. People are actually frustrated. The lifestyle, especially, what they're adopting, it's completely miserable, actually. So something has to be done in that aspect. And therefore, we thought of this holistic approach.
Yes.
And only that can actually bring about the desired result. Otherwise, this disease is going one step into it now. From physical platform, it is from grosser platform, it is entering to a certain platform, but it's affecting the mind of the people.
Yes. Very true. Very true.
Naraharidas, I quickly want to hijack here for a little bit.
Yes,
I
yes.
recently came across a study which said that 1% increase in the unemployment rate will be associated with 37,000 deaths.
Yes.
Right. And so just considering United States, where the unemployment rate was like 3.5% before this COVID crisis, and now it is very closer to 20%. So that means in the best case scenario, we would at least have 500,000 deaths, right? That is
Obviously.
nothing to do with this viruses and
Why it's
everything to do
nothing?
with the distressed economy. Right. And we already started observing the suicide rates have went up, the child abuses have went up, spousal abuse have went up, and you said the divorce rate would be going up.
Substance
We know
abuse.
we know that from the police reports, right? So
Yeah.
my question to you is, and I want to get more insights on that. What do Vedic text teaches us about mental health, and how do a mind chooses a physical wealth versus a mental health here? Because of this economical crisis, people are already bankrupt. What would you suggest to those people how to deal with this crisis?
So basically, as they say, normally we hear health is wealth. So yes, health is wealth. But which health? Physical health or mental health? So I feel, or the Vedic text, they very much
Mhm.
focus not on physical health. If you analyze the entire Vedic studies, the scriptures, they are focusing more on the mental health. Why? Because it is a mind that affects the body,
Mhm.
right? It is a mind that affects the body. Body does not affect the mind at majority of the time. It affects too. But when the mind is distressed, when the mind is depression, like simple, if you are depressed, one of the causes of obesity is what? Depression. Like when I heard for the first time during my medicine time, I was shocking, because during depression, people just go on eating and eating. And that was obesity.
Right.
And obesity leads to so many other things.
Mhm.
Now, person may feel he's obese, he must be a very happy person in the life. When you see obese person, healthy person, he may feel very happy person. No, he's a depressed man. He's a most lonely man. So he takes shelter of food and he goes on eating and eating and eating. So therefore, as you question that how can the mind, especially taking place scenario where people are bankrupt, people are economically going down. So first important thing is the principle of satisfaction has to be there. Why people are going bankrupt? Why? Because they are not satisfied with what they have. And this is the essence of all Vedic literatures. It teaches you how to be satisfied with what you are and what you have. Because actually, one of the important thing or one of the benefits of these lockdowns and these pandemics, what I see is in a positive way, that see, so many of us felt so many things that are necessary in our life. We felt that without which we cannot survive. But over a period of 2 months, when we are completely locked down in our houses, we have not approached those things. We have not in touch with those things, and we are completely healthy. It is not that we have died or we are affected by that, right? But before that, we felt if that thing is not there, I cannot survive. But now we realize that life was not dependent on that. Basically, so many things we are just collecting and collecting and collecting. Why? Not that we need, not that this body needs, because the mind convinces us that you need this.
I
So
think
therefore,
just to interrupt you, Yani, for example, I feel going to restaurants for eating regularly and then going for shopping. This is something, these are two major activities which used to
activities.
happen. Now,
Last 2 months,
uh,
no shopping, no eating outside. Have we died? No, we are healthy. So therefore, this slight changes actually. Adjustment. Vedic text teach us not to adjust physically, but to make adjustment at the level of mind. And the first principle of that is principle of satisfaction. You need to be satisfied with whatever you have and with whatever is coming. If this thing is taken care, I think half of the battle is won. The principle of satisfaction. Otherwise, it is not that. See, people are going bankrupt. Why? Because during this lockdown, they have actually, if you analyze, they have spent more what they would have spent outside on eating and on these and that, so many other things. So therefore, you need to be satisfied and you need to have a higher dimension of life also. So then the mind can be taken care, and whether you have more or less is not important. What is important is how you can be satisfied with what you have. That is what is a Vedic perspective. An entire thing, whatever literatures you take, they speak more at the level of mind. Because ultimately that is the biggest factor. That is the biggest factor for disturbing everybody's life. And irrespective of which state, which country, what you are, irrespective of sex and everything. That is a common factor affecting everyone. This is my small little opinion about
yeah,
that.
I would also, Yani, agree with you
Yeah.
because, for example, if I would take my own kids, they were so much also used to going out, but that same thing has now translated into that same activity, which taking them out and making them eat some variety, that has shifted to our kitchens, and it has become a burden for the mothers. I feel those who are
Yeah.
working now, that especially women also are facing a lot of issues at home. They are not used to working at home. The working women are used to working in offices, traveling and working in office, but now they are forced because the maid servants are not there, and they have to work at home and also take care of children and manage the family
Husband
now.
and husband.
And husband, of course.
Both. Husband has to tolerate the wife has to tolerate the husband. Actually, basically, what is happening is during this lockdown, one of the causes, like my studies are, why people are coming to that frustrated state now. Because that people were so much inclined or accustomed to that social life, of that variegatedness, having wife at home and then the office interacting with some other women. So that was balancing. But now, just one face 24 hours. Actually, that was supposed to be. That is good. But then, actually, over a period of time, we have changed our mindset to a different thing, which was not natural for us.
Yeah.
So again, it will take time to get back from that unnatural state to the natural state. But the thing is, we have gone so much far away. I doubt how much it would take to come back to our original natural condition.
Yes.
So,
That is
So
Yes.
Naredas, so my final follow-up question before we jump into the Q&A session. As a spiritual advisor, you spoke a lot about body, mind, and soul and its connection. So in a simple layman terms, a normal person, if he needs to understand, how does someone bring a balance between the body, mind, and soul with this ongoing current wave of depression? Could you provide some little bit insight on that too? So to sum up on that.
So as I said, the body and mind both are interrelated. So to basically
Mhm,
understand our structure, that we have something called as physical body. This is called
mhm,
gross body, which we can
mhm,
perceive, which we can see, which is made up of five elements: earth, air,
mhm,
water, fire, and ether. And
mhm,
inside this, we have one more body, which is called a
mhm,
subtle body, which is made up of mind, intelligence, and ego. Right? And within the subtle body is we, the soul. Right? So
mhm,
basically, the soul is connected to this gross body through the mind, through the ego. Right? Otherwise, there is no connection. They are two completely different entities. But through ego, it is connected. Right? And therefore, actually, through intelligence, we are supposed to control the mind. That is a natural state of functioning. Through intelligence, we have to control the mind. But in the present context, the present scene, what is happening is the mind has become so strong to overtake the intelligence. Therefore, intelligence cannot make any decision. It has to follow dictation of mind. Right? And when mind dictates, it dictates to the senses, which is at the physical level. So mind wants to enjoy through the senses. So how basically this is how the structure is developed. Right? So therefore, as you question very nicely, for a common man, how to understand, how to have a balance. Basically, first at physical level, you need to, as I said, have a healthy diet, have a proper sleeping time, have a proper life schedule and cycle. Right? And at the mental level, we need to understand that what do we actually need? What are my priorities? What is that is going to sustain my life? What is my need and what is my luxury? So therefore, what should I work for? Whether I should work for my need or whether I should work for luxury. And today's scene is such that we are working very less for our needs and more for our luxury. And therefore, the result is what? Nobody is satisfied. Nobody is happy. And when you are not satisfied, what happens is when you go into depression, your immune system also goes down. And when your immune system goes down, and see, one of the result is when your immune system goes down, what happens? You become prone to any insignificant bacteria or virus, anything.
mhm,
So therefore, one needs to be physically healthy along with that mentally healthy. So how can become mentally healthy? Mentally healthy is to understand our, as I said, needs and our luxury and make some priorities in life. We don't need to work or strive for things which are not necessary for us. As we are seeing today's time, from last 2 months, all our luxuries have been put to end. We are just on our needs.
Yes, yes. It's so true that all our luxuries have been put, there is a full stop to it.
Yeah,
A very interesting fact I would like to add to this, that, uh, a person cannot change a man, but a virus, if you see it, the weight of this virus, supposedly, as per the data, is that a single virus weighs, if you take it as 1 gram and multiply it into 10 raised to the power of minus 18, 10 raised to. So that is the weight of this single virus. And it supposedly you require some 70 billion virus to be known as an infected person. So that comes to, almost 0.0005000, I don't know how many. But to infect the entire population right now, almost, if you take it roughly, you can take it as, right now it is some 5 point something million population. But if we take it, suppose, maybe in next week it is 6 million. So the virus load will be hardly 3 gram virus load, which is affecting 6 million population.
yes.
Just see.
So that is one of the lesson actually. That is
Hmm.
one of the lesson
Hmm.
that what an insignificant creature can do to the entire world. So
Yes.
don't underestimate anyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
lesson to be learned is don't underestimate anyone.
Yeah, yeah. Also, I am seeing one more thing, at least in these crowded cities, like maybe I would say New York is one of them, and in India, if you call as Delhi and Mumbai, problem is with such tremendous population, we are not actually getting beds for admission now. The initially the testing facilities were also at a not so good level, but now it has improved. But with the improvement of this testing and newer detection cases, we are falling short at medical level. The quarantine, the facilities which are there, so people are now getting more anxious that there is no treatment. We have to go into quarantine. We will not be able to see. India is a country where we live in family, most of them still. Of course, we have nuclear families now. We don't have joint families much, but we have nuclear families. So you want to say anything in regards to this joint family versus nuclear family playing a role when it is a mind game with this coronavirus rather than a physical level that you are infected and all.
Yeah.
Many people are worried what will happen to me if I get infected, then I will not be able to see my people, and I will not get admission, or my elders will get infected. As a doctor myself, I am always worried I will infect my family members. So what is your outlook on this? Because these things are something which the modern medicine doesn't cover all into all these aspects.
So basically, everything has advantage and disadvantage depending upon the situation. Now, taking into present condition, one may say, that staying in nuclear family, the small family would be good. Because in joint families, there are so many members, the chance of infection would be more. But one small example, in previous time, now we speak of quarantine, but in ancient times, not too ancient also, just 20, 15 years back, when a woman at home, when a woman used to have periods, menses, she was naturally isolated. For 5, 6 days, she was isolated. So even in joint family, that facility was there of quarantine. And during that time, the other family members would give a lot of emotional support. And because of which the person never felt mentally, distressed or mentally fatigued, was not mentally affected. Why? Because they were there at all times. Now, now at 2, 3 members at the home, what happened? How much can they talk? Actually, now why we are so much into social media? Why people are so much into social this thing? Why? Because at home that social atmosphere is not there.
Yes,
When
I
the
agree.
joint family was there, all varieties of people were there,
Yes,
of all age groups.
yes,
So there is no need for us to go out. But now, children are there, they are not seeing the father is not seeing the children, husband is not seeing the wife is not seeing the husband. So naturally, when you don't get something at home, you will search out.
I'm sure you and me both, at least we were lucky to stay in, I have also stayed at one point of time in Chaul. And then
Yeah,
I have, of course, with prosperity, you tend to come to these bigger flats in cities and then you become all alone. But frankly speaking, if you ask me also, I realize that when there are neighbors, there are people around, you are actually emotionally, now this is as a doctor, scientifically I feel that you are actually taken care by the surroundings also. It is
yeah,
not only what is there at your home.
yeah. Even
Yeah.
siblings. Like now
Yes.
people say, how can we have so many children? But
Mm.
it was not a big thing. Why? Because the elder child would take care of the younger child. It was not
Yes.
a burden on the mother.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So even in staying in child system or in public place, that emotional factor, which helped in the mental factor, which in turn helped in physical factor. Not people were affected. How many people were diseased before? No. Now people are getting more disease staying in a nuclear family, staying separately. So that is one of the important factor which is there. So yes, social is required because ultimately we cannot forget one aspect. that man is a social animal.
Hmm.
We cannot
Yes.
forget that.
Yes.
But now that need of a society has been replaced from individuals to gadgets. And therefore,
And
what,
in person dealing has become into virtual reality through
yeah,
these social media platforms.
yes.
Hmm.
So that
Yeah.
is not going to give satisfaction. That is not going to cater to your mental needs and emotional needs.
Yes.
We cannot see, ultimately, we want to express, we want to speak, we want to laugh, we want to joke, we want to interact. With social media, we can laugh, but we cannot interact. Right?
Yeah.
So therefore, that lacking is there. That has to be fulfilled to actually be healthy. And otherwise, you see, in spite of so much social media, why today people, so many death rates?
Yeah.
Because of what? Because of social. So
Yeah.
much
People
depression.
people commit suicides on Facebook.
Yeah.
Live.
Live. People are falling in love on Facebook. People are dying on Facebook.
Hmm.
Right? If I go somewhere, I click my photo, see, I am on such a picnic and a tour. Other person feels depressed. What the hell I'm doing here? I want to be like him.
Living a fake life.
Yeah, be a fake life. So that is not what is required. That is not the meaning of social. Social means actually being with people.
Yes.
So that quarantine system which was there, that's not something new. That was inherent in every Indian, or I should say not Indian, traditional culture of any caste.
Yes.
That system was there, but now that system is not there.
Hmm.
So therefore, naturally, all diseases were taken into consideration before only. They're taken care like that.
Thank you. So that's an interesting thing which you covered right now. So to sum up the whole session so far, I think we covered up some interesting points here, starting from the diet and how we take care of our body and build our immune system. And Nararidas, you very clearly reverse engineered the body, mind, and soul. Instead of focusing on body, we should first focus on soul, and that would help our mind, and that mind would help our body, right? So I think this was very valuable for me. So I want to jump into the Q&A part here, and I have a few questions passed on for both of you. Uh,
Yes.
so the first question here is for Dr. Vinay Kumar.
Yeah.
Uh, it says there is a lot of inaccurate information about coronavirus disease out there. What can we do to help encounter this misinformation?
Yeah, yes, of course, I agree. First of all, if you see, it's the perception about the disease. I would say that is the biggest problem right now, at least over here in India, it is creating a problem. And it is, if any family, for example, I'll just give my own example. Uh, I have seen one distant neighbor of mine suffering from coronavirus. Of course, he's all asymptomatic, healthy, no problem at all. But the neighbors and the surrounding society actually want them to be so isolated that even the basic needs which are supplied by the grocers and everybody, if they go and give and they then come to these people, they are saying that that grocer should not go over there, otherwise you don't come to us. So they are not able to understand that it is not, coronavirus is not some bird which is flying in the air and come and sits on your head. It's not like that. It is only when you have a close interaction and when you touch them and you touch yourself, so that is how it spread. Most of the times it is one clear thing, it is a respiratory spread, because it affects your lung and the respiratory tract. So the spread is through droplets, and that's why wearing a mask is very important. Physical distancing, 6 feet distance if you maintain, that's more than sufficient. So maintain that, cover the and don't just interact them with physically, that's it. If you make that much also, but be compassionate, you know be compassionate toward the diseased person as well as that family. Try to help. I think this is the biggest misconception right now for me, rather than somebody's not getting food or somebody's not getting this and that. I feel this is the biggest misconception right now. I From my side at least, I would say ki, people should not behave like this, as if that person who is, see, it's just an unfortunate event for that person. It is not like HIV that the person goes and gets the disease, isn't it?
Right.
This is something which is just anybody can pick up, and for that matter, health workers and those all who are helping into this right now fighting the pandemic, all those who are at the risk, including the police. So tomorrow the police gets a coronavirus. Are you going to isolate him also in this way? That no, yeah, no, people are looking at the patient like not like a patient. Where see, generally when somebody is ill, you tend to go visit, you talk to them nicely, and you ask them, Baba, how is your treatment going? Everything is fine, all But here
Right.
it is not like that. People have took a opposite dimension, total opposite dimension. They are, when the moment they come to know, yeah, this is a corona patient, they are thinking that he's a potential person from whom I can get infected, and so he's a dangerous person to me. So this mindset, I think, this is the biggest misconception which should change.
I think, sorry to
Hmm.
interrupt,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
this attitude, what is building up in our society, the person who's unfortunately affected,
Hmm.
if that person is very emotionally sensitive and mentally weak, he will not die of corona, but he'll die of
Ah.
suicide.
Yes, yes. I just came to
He
know
may commit
today.
suicide.
I just came
So
to
the
know today.
way
One.
the people, the family,
Huh.
forget the society, even the family members also dealing, he will
Yeah,
commit
yeah,
suicide if he's emotionally
yeah,
and mentally
yeah.
weak.
Yes. I just heard. I don't know. Deven can, Mr. Deven can actually, authenticate. I just came to know today itself that the infectious disease chief in New York, in one of the hospital, committed suicide.
Oh, really? I
Just
didn't know
committed
about this.
suicide. I just heard
Okay.
about it. I am yet to confirm this, but I just heard about it. So forget about this. I know patients who are committing suicide in India. Of course, at least we are not hearing too many news about it. But whatever we have read, so it is not that this is something fake, but it is a fact. I don't know how strong, how much it is in US right now. I really not gone into that data, but I totally agree that what Mr. Narendra Das is saying, that people may not actually die of the virus, but looking at this, being emotionally weak, not strong to fight the society, and when they look when they look the reaction of the surrounding people and the society, they may actually think of this drastic step.
Yeah. So that is very, very,
That's true.
that's very,
Hmm.
very essential. That's very essential that we don't hate, we hate the disease, but not the diseased. Right?
Yes,
That is
very
very, very
true.
essential. We have to understand that.
Yes.
We have to see social distancing does not mean that you don't talk.
Yeah.
You can stand a meter away to a person and still give a lot of emotional and some emotional support to him by your some kind words.
Yes.
People are misunderstanding the social distancing. You stay away, but that does not mean you don't interact. We may not interact physically, but may we interact through our words, and we may interact to them through our concern.
Yes.
And that is what ultimately everybody wants. Everybody wants, what the medicine cannot do.
Yes.
What the medicine cannot do, our few sweet words, our kind concern can make him actually give them the power and the ability to
Yes.
overcome, to sustain and fight with the disease. I remember one of my friend, his wife came out to be positive, and practically now she was isolated immediately. He was so affected. But then what happened? Within next 2 to 3 weeks, she came out to be negative. But one important thing what her husband did, right? Practically at every 5 to 10 minutes, he used to call her on the phone. So that is needed. It is not that you become fearful and you become so a sort of selfish sort of thing.
Yeah, this is almost amounting to very selfish, very
Selfishness.
crude and selfish behavior.
Yeah, that behavior is worse. Actually, when we speak of treatment, one of the major treatment is much more than what any vaccine can do, is
Yeah.
our few kind concerned words.
Yes, I totally agree with you. When I'm treating patients, many times my patient at least give me a good feedback, and I think I have realized it, and I purposefully try to inculcate is the habit of listening.
Yeah,
Listening to the patient, because many patients, of course, they want a good treatment, no doubt any. If he has something operation to be done, something to be removed, I have to do it as per my good skill. But that is not the only thing which at which they find the total answer from the doctor. The total answer from a doctor they find only when they see that the doctor is empathetic towards them.
Yeah. That's why we see that right from your childhood, from our childhood times, our family doctor,
Yes.
he may not be very much qualified,
Hmm.
but we have more faith in that unqualified family doctor than much more qualified doctors outside. Why?
Yes.
Because that family doctor was quite concerned about us. He was like a family member.
Yes.
And that faith actually, as we say in medicine also, much more than the medicine, is the
Medicine.
faith
Yes.
in the doctor that treats.
Yeah. Right.
Why?
Absolutely.
Because man becomes mentally strong, emotionally stable, and that
Mhm.
actually is one of the immunity booster.
This is I have seen in my practice.
Yes.
Those who have lot of doubts when taking treatment are the ones who tend to fare badly
Yeah.
somehow. They will have some problems. Of course, they will eventually come out of it, but they tend to go through some more problems than the other patient who has exquisite faith.
So, like Gita says, for a doubting soul, there is no happiness in this world and the next.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
That's the
I
Gita's
want to
I
put
version.
agree.
in my 2 cents here. I want to put in my two
Ah,
cents here, and
yes,
just
yes.
based on my personal experience
Mm,
living in United States for a longer
mm,
time,
mm.
and during this lockdown period, and with this social distancing norm, what I am seeing when I go out at least once a week for grocery shopping is like every individual out there, including myself, uh, we are worried and thinking about every new person we come into a contact might be our killer, right? So, and
Yeah.
I feel
Yes.
like that's horrible. I'm thinking like, what have we done to our culture, and feeling fearful all the time, and what is that doing to our cortisol level? It's just spiking up, and
Yes,
that would compromise our immune system, right? So,
that's what is there. Rather than seeing everyone as a life giver, we are seeing them as life
mhm,
taker.
Yeah,
So because
even
yeah,
doctors have faced the problems, these
yeah,
problems from society.
yes,
The person who is treating
right.
is actually facing.
yeah. So therefore, actually, we need to. The whole purpose of this whole seminar, what this discussion is going on, is to
Mhm,
focus on this aspect, because the whole world is focusing on treatment aspect,
Yes.
but this aspect nobody is focusing on. So
mhm,
the whole purpose, the whole agenda behind this discussion is at least to create an awareness amongst people that Baba, everybody needs love, everybody needs concern. Just speak some few words. Everyone wants मेरी आवाज सुनो, कुछ
mhm,
सुनो लोग.
right.
Don't isolate them. Don't.
Yeah, in fact, I would say these are the great times where you can connect virtually, but
Yeah.
still patient and patient finds himself very isolated. The very fact, even in the beginning when we started getting information from patients who have been treated, the only thing patients they are ready to pay money. They are losing money also in treatment, frankly speaking. But what they said very significantly, 2 3 patients in initial stage, just to understand how patients are thinking, I was very
Mhm,
curious to know as a surgeon, though I am a surgeon, but curious to know about this mental aspect. 2 3 patients relatives told me that it is not about the treatment or what we are receiving, and we have come out of it. At
mhm,
that point of time when we were treated in hospital,
mhm,
the doctor would hardly speak, the sister would hardly come, they would just give their medicine and run away, and we would just not see anybody, and we are just left all alone. That was something which was hitting them.
Okay, I think thank you for clarifying this. Even for me, it's more clarified now with all the misinformation out there through the media channels. And I have next question for both of you. Uh, it says like, what is the greatest lesson we learned from this situation? If you could like spend like a couple of minutes on that, we are running out of time here.
Yeah, I think Mr. Nararidas, better to you can you
See,
can answer this very well.
one important lesson that has
Mhm,
been touching my mind and heart, that we have to accept the fact that irrespective of which country, what nation it is,
mhm,
however great we may be, we are not the controllers. Why?
Yes.
As I
mhm,
said, that even an insignificant, as Dr. Vinay Kumar very beautifully mentioned the size, such an insignificant thing. Like Vedic scriptures, they say that out of all the 8 elements, earth, air, water, fire, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego, the ego is the most subtlest thing and it creates the grossest effects. Fight between the family members, fight among the nations. It is not because of some gross things, it is because of ego. But now I feel that this virus is something more dangerous like that. Such a subtle thing, but creating so gross level that practically entire planet Earth is being, controlled by it, and nobody is able to do anything. With all their technology, with all their advancement, with all their power, with all their wealth, so we have to accept the fact that we are not controllers, and any insignificant person or entity can do a biggest thing. That is the second lesson. And third lesson is very important. Actually, this needs to be taken into consideration, which may be very contradictory, very controversial also. But friends, please understand, we cannot play with nature. Nature will bounce back. So this pandemic is not an end. If we still don't give up our tendency of playing with nature, then we will see many more, or in fact, much more dangerous than this pandemic also. Why? Because the rule is there, a universal rule that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Now, nobody can deny this. No person, the creation can deny this. So you cannot play with the nature. Nature will bounce back. Nature will bounce back. So therefore, what the biggest lesson is, this is a time for us to change our perspectives, our lifestyles, our way of seeing things, and especially exploiting other living entities.
Yes.
The way we are exploiting nature, the resources of nature, for just some selfish interest, which actually from last 2 months we are not using. We are digging into the earth for diesel and petrol, for crude oil. How much crude oil did we need in last 2 months?
And we have been able to survive. And we have been able to survive.
Happily.
Interesting to know.
Happily. Yeah.
Happily.
Yes.
So is the need for us to bore into the earth? We don't need. So this is one example I'm giving of playing with nature. So please, dear friends, the lesson we learned is don't play with nature, because nature is very powerful and we are insignificant. And what ways the nature will bounce, we may never know. And one more lesson to be learned is, at least now, we should humble down to accept the fact that we are not in a position to treat this, to take care of this pandemic, unless until some superior power actually intervenes into it. It is beyond our control. Unless until that superior power, some energy intervenes, which is existing, we cannot deny the fact. We cannot deny that fact that there is some superior energy, whatever name you may call it by. Unless until that intervenes, you cannot change the world situation. So therefore, we need to humble down. And we need to, as I said, one very essential thing is, we need to change ourselves, or in a very technological language, we need to reset ourselves. This is what I feel. Dr. Vinay Kumar can add more on this.
That's an interesting view. Dr. Vinay Kumar, do you have anything as a medical practitioner? Do you see any kind of a lesson which viewers could take away and implement that in our daily life?
One more thing I would like to add, just Dr. Vinay Kumar. Like you see, we are speaking The biggest thing now is the death rate. So many people dying every day. We see so many positive cases, so many positive cases. But you see, how many people were actually dying every day of RTAs, road traffic accidents? From last 2 months, zero. No accident. Why? Because no vehicle is only moving out. What a accident will be? People are not crashing out with each other. Right? So imagine zero accidents, zero death rates, which is much more bigger rate than the actual people dying of corona. So basically, we have to understand,
from that point of view, of course, I have to come. Yeah.
Please continue.
I think we had a break in the connection.
From that point of view, if you ask me, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you clearly.
Yes. Please go on.
Hello. Yeah. Okay. So as you have raised.
I think we lost him. Okay, I think we are running short of time, and I believe I would just take the final question here. The last question I would take is how to find happiness in such pandemic situation. If you could sum up in a few minutes, would be great.
Yeah. So basically, as I said, what is happiness? Actually, you have to understand that, because if you don't know what happiness is, then where you will find that? If you are going to a market, if you don't know what a tomato looks like, if you have never seen, never heard of, if you have no experience of what tomato is, you may run the entire supermarket, but you may not find tomato. Right? So similarly, what is happiness? Happiness is simply a state of mind. Right? It is simply a state of mind, and it simply depends on our perception. How are we perceiving a particular situation and a particular thing? So basically, to answer your question, it is just, if you want to be happy in this most critical and dangerous phase, we need to have a positive approach to this crisis. That positive approach has to be there. And that is only what is going to make us happy. And in short, to speak, what is that positive approach? That positive approach means we need to actually analyze. We need to analyze our state. Where have I reached? What I'm up to. So after analyzing, we need to introspect to ourselves. We need some introspection. And what is introspection? Introspection is that about our precarious condition and who has caused and what has caused that. We need to analyze, we need to introspect, and we need to make some necessary changes, as I said, externally and internally. Like one of the things, when we are speaking about immune system, boosting our immune system, like people staying at home, they are boozing like anything. So how can you expect your immune system to be strong when you're just boozing day and night? And not just day and night, you're keeping a stock for next 2 months worth lakhs of rupees. So how can you save yourself from not undergoing depression? How can you not be mentally affected and how your immunity will not go down? So we need to make some necessary changes in our lifestyles, in our thought process, internally and externally also. So many things. This is a big subject matter actually. To just talk about this change itself will take a long time.
Yeah.
And
right.
Last thing is, we need to make the best use of this opportunity. Actually, nothing is bad, provided, as you said, what lessons. If you take this opportunity of, first, as I said, humbling yourself, developing good relationships, expressing your concerns, expressing gratitude, and making a positive out of it. Because nothing is bad. If you have a proper approach, positive approach, nothing is bad. You just have to know how to utilize that. Electricity, if you connect it to a fridge, will give you cold water. If you connect to a heater, will give you hot water. So all situations are neutral, but your condition is depending upon how you approach it. Right? So if you have a proper attitude, a positive attitude, then definitely I think this corona is not a big thing. The so much fear is there because we don't have positive approach, a positive attitude. So therefore, let's help each other. Let's have gratitude. Let's overcome fear and understand that what positive things can we do during this time. Like one good thing, what people in general are doing, they are learning many lessons. They're undergoing so many courses. It's a good, it's an opportunity.
Correct.
So one example is there. Or other end is you just keep on boozing, play, you gamble around and do all nonsensical things that cannot be spoken on this media, on this platform. So therefore, Dr. Vinay Kumar can add because he's back. How to be happy and the lessons to be learned.
So as you said, the one positive, one positive thing, at least I could say that, people are so scared about coronavirus deaths. But if you ask me, people in India, almost like 2 lakh people die every year of tuberculosis alone. I'm not even counting other things. HIV, 69,000. Road traffic accidents, as you say, as you said, we have road traffic accidents which kill almost like 350 people per day in India. 350 per day. Yeah, right now, presently, coronavirus is killing only 150.
Imagine.
So, and we have disease. If you see the number of disease, if you ask me, okay, we are not dying, but what about the coronavirus? So many cases. Right now, it is 125,000 and 125,000 cases in India. But we have diabetes mellitus, almost 77 million patients in India. 77 million. So, though the disease, the only thing is it's just spreading and people are not sure. They are not having exact information, awareness of this disease. So there is panic. So, I would say don't panic. Just seek proper treatment at proper time and don't, isolate people in such a way that they don't even feel your empathy.
That's interesting. I think there couldn't have been a better ending than touching base on happiness and preventive measures here. And every human being out there is ultimately searching for happiness through different means, right? And Narhari Das and Dr. Vinay Kumar, your views were thought-provoking for an average person who may need to take a step back, at least for me, and think from a different perspective about how to deal with this game of life, right? And that being said, I want to end up our today's sessions. I would really, really want to thank you both, Dr. Vinay Kumar and Narhari Das, for taking out time and providing detailed insights through providing information through different dimensions in dealing with these current situations. Thank you so much for that.
So thank you, Devin. We are very grateful to you for creating this forum or platform on which we can express our concern for people in general. And if any help, if we have helped in any way, then all glories, all credit to you.
So absolutely. I mean, there would be viewers out there who would be really helpful.
To you. Thank you, Devin. I also want to express this gratitude through this. At least, it's not about just making opinions, but I think when you speak on these topics, it is a reflection on your own self, that how good you are when you talk all these things. So it's also a time for introspection for me too. And I think even I need to take a lesson from whatever I have said. Of course, for the general public, if they have any queries, I'm sure through our FB account, they can put up any queries and we are happy to answer. Thank you.
That's my next thing. Like for the viewers out there, if they want to keep having such discussions in futures on the current topics, please let us know in the comments below. Let us also know about what exactly we did right and we did wrong, and so that we could improve for the next time. And finally, a massive shout out to people working behind the scene, Adinath, Kishorda, Sanjay, and other people helping out and making this today's session possible without any impediments. So I think I think until next time, for the people out there, stay safe and stay happy. Namaste.
Thank you.